We are really excited to roll out this webinar series. We've made them 15 minutes long to hopefully make it feel digestible to you during these odd times, and hopefully the topics feel relevant and will help you engage with us in whatever way that makes sense for you. And also, just so you know, we are recording this, so it can be viewed at a later time. So if you want to watch it again, you can do that, as well as pass it on to other peers and colleagues that might find it useful. So we'll kind of start from there. So what we'll be talking about today is how to really buff up your Handshake and LinkedIn profile and build from there. We'll try to make this engaging as we can as well. So a couple of basics to get started here. One sec. A couple of technology things. If you could keep your video and audio muted, that would really help me as the presenter and help us make sure we have a clean webinar here. So find the mute buttons, and if you do want to, if we have a chance where you might want to ask a question, you can unmute yourself and ask that. So if you're having any issues, let us know. Please use the chat function to ask any questions or add comments. And so that's a good way for us to monitor what you're getting from this. And if you do have any technical difficulties, I have colleagues on the webinar that can help. So put it out on the chat, and either Claire or Janet or someone will be able to offer some support for you. So that's kind of the plan here. So let's kind of work through the agenda. So we're going to first start with Handshake, and I suspect some of you know about Handshake and some of you may not, so I'll talk a little bit about that. And then I'm going to have one of our current students, Eden Davis, share a little bit about her profile and what it looks like. We will then talk about LinkedIn, which is hopefully something you've heard of before, and we'll have Michaela Norv, one of our other students, show her profile and give that opportunity. So we'll end with the Q&A. So I wanted to throw out a question for you, which is, what are you hoping to get out of this webinar? So in the chat function, if you could just throw a quick comment or two about kind of what you're hoping to get out of this webinar. So I'm going to take a 30-second to a minute break to allow you to type some stuff in. All right, I'm starting to see some comments, so I'll kind of share some of those. How to make an effective and good looking LinkedIn profile. Awesome. We'll make sure to get to that, Jesse. Danica says, I want to know what I'm supposed to add on my profile and what I should leave off. Awesome. Good questions. Pam asked how to have a great Handshake profile, which is a new resource for students. So awesome. Excellent. We'll keep throwing things in the chat there. Liz wants to learn more about ways to help students and alum make the most of their profiles. Awesome. So we have Liz from the alumni office that wants to share some of that information. All right. We'll keep adding things into the chat function. As you have questions or just comments, please put those in there, and we'll do our best to get to all of those during our time here. All right. So let's talk about Handshake. So Handshake is a one-stop career shop software for you, and it is a brand new system to UCCS. So it is new as of January 2020, and it is for you all. So please log in and use it. What it is it is a job and internship board for students. And we had a previous system before that served its purpose, but as we've come now into where we are in today's world, we wanted to make sure we had opportunities for all of our students. And so what Handshake did, it opened up opportunities to connect with companies that we had previously never worked with. It allows students to look for opportunities across the United States and to be able to build a stronger profile. So just to kind of hit on how important or the implications of having this site, there are currently 2,400 job and internship postings for UCCS students. That's amazing, and they're all over the country, right? So we're in this pandemic, but there are people who there are companies who are still looking for you. And I think that's really cool to know. We're also starting to populate almost all of our career events that are happening on campus. So these webinars are a great example of that. Future career fairs, future workshops, future employer info sessions. These are going to be your one-stop shop to make that happen. All right, so I'm gonna hand it on over to Eden Davis here, and she's gonna show some information on her current profile. So give me a sec while I pull that up. All right, can you all see, Eden, can you see your profile?
I cannot see it right now.
Okay, let me do a quick stop sharing and reshare. Give me a sec. Okay, how about now?
Yes. So, my name is Eden. I am a sophomore here at UCCS, and I started with a picture, adding a picture onto my Handshake profile done on LinkedIn. You know how important it is for especially employers to see who they're talking to or who they're viewing. And so I chose a picture. It wasn't a close-up of my face, but it was just a good picture of me. And then, of course, I put the school, I put my major, what I'm working to, the graduation date that I'm expecting, and my GPA. And then I have, if you scroll up, I have what my journey is, and that just talks about what I've been through and why I've been through it and what I'm working towards in my future. That's really good for employers, for especially for me wanting to be on the medical track. It shows them what exactly I've been through. I put in my education, including my high school and my GPAs for those, because I worked hard on those. I was able to put in a high GPA, but I'm not sure. Like I know in some resumes you don't want to put it on a low GPA, but I put in my GPA for that and expected graduation and everything for there. It says my profile, if you scroll up a little bit, it's not finished completely, and that's because I didn't put in projects yet. I was just thinking of class projects that would help for my future, but when I was showing it to advisors of mine, they said that I could put in other projects because I've been in part of like clubs at school and just showing leadership roles. And so I'm probably going to add some of those in later to make it 100% complete. I put in my work and volunteer experience. And with that, I included all my jobs from when I was in college. And I put in like the bullet point to make it more, what's the word? To make it more like understanding. And yeah, I put it through the dates that I started with most recent on top, and then on the bottom I put the most, the one that I had from the beginning of when I started college. And I haven't put in my interests yet, which are on the left. That's because I'm still working through college and focusing on my studies right now, and so I don't have the exact kind of job or where the location where I want to start my first job after I graduate. And so I haven't put in those yet. And then if you scroll down more, I put the organizations I've with. Those are just the clubs that I've been in, and the leadership roles that I've played in that, because I feel like leadership is a really big role for when you go into your career. And then I put in my skills. Handshake is really good at like once you like fill in everything, it tells you or it gives you recommendations for skills and you can just like select them so you don't have to search all of them. And so it gave me a good amount of skills that I can put on. So those are my skills. And then for my courses, it's an easy like just search, and I put in just the courses that pertain to the future that I want. So mostly science courses. I have my personal information down there, and then the projects, of course, and then the documents I put in my resume. And if you put that in first, it kind of fills out your Handshake profile, and then you can just go through it and edit it the way that you want it to look. And so putting in your resume is a really good first step for making your Handshake profile. And this profile has really helped me. It's actually gotten me a few job listings. People have contacted me, so I didn't have to contact people. And like a medical scribe person contacted me for a job. And so these jobs are legit, and the profile really helped with that.
Thank you, Eden, for sharing.
Of course.
So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint here, but as you can see from Eden's conversation and profile, she really has given a pretty lengthy kind of look at everything that she's doing. So don't undersell yourselves. This is the time to really showcase what you've done, where you've been, what you want to do. And Handshake actually modeled their profile look a little bit after Facebook to make it feel very user friendly. So it's hopefully something you start to look at. And as Eden mentioned towards the end of her conversation there, the more you put in, the more likely you will be connected and contacted by companies that kind of fit your profile and fit what you're looking for. So making sure you have that in-depth view of your profile is really important. And don't just fill it out once. Look at it every couple months to make sure you refresh it with new things that you're doing. So that's a little bit of information on Handshake. And we're going to go to LinkedIn next. But at the end here, you can ask any questions to Eden, I, or anyone else about Handshake. So let me keep the conversation going to LinkedIn. All right, so LinkedIn's a little more widely known, but still may not be something you've used before or have only used on a pretty inconsistent basis, but it is a broader networking site to connect with alumni, contacts, employers, and honestly, a lot of business is done on LinkedIn. So a lot of companies go out and try to source clients and future customers, as well as how it may be important to you. They go out and try to source future talent for their organization. So it's a really important site. One of my favorite statistics that you'll see there is if you keep your profile up to date, it makes you 18 times more likely to be found in searches by members and recruiters, right? So that's a really cool opportunity to get connected. And it also kind of signifies you should be looking at it a little more consistently than just maybe once a month or so on. So I always pose this question to students and alumni that I work with. I always say, well, do you check other social media sites on a daily basis? And about 99% of the time, people say, yeah, of course, I check Facebook, Instagram, I check whatever things I'm into. Well, add LinkedIn to your arsenal. So what I do every morning before I start work is I check LinkedIn for 5 minutes. It really gives me a good opportunity to make sure I know what other people are doing in their professional life. So start using it, start activating it a little bit. So I'm gonna have Michaela Norv from our office share a little bit of information and showcase her profile. So let me share that screen and she'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, Michaela, can you see your profile?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Can you see your can you see your profile?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I guess I'll just walk through it a little bit. I just started out with a picture, like Eden said, for Handshake. And this one it's just taken with like portrait mode on a phone. We took them for our office, so I used that. And then my supervisors at work here encouraged me to change my background just so it looks like a completed profile and that you're keeping up to date on it rather than just leaving it blank. So I just picked a picture from our UCCS photo database because I thought it was kind of fitting. The other thing is underneath my name, most people just have their job title. However, right now my job title is a student assistant, and so to make it more interesting and targeted towards a job search, I changed it to a couple potential routes that I could take once I graduate in May. And so that's why I put aspiring ABA therapist. And then I also included the bit about marketing because that's also a route I'm interested in taking. Do you have to scroll down, Danny, or can I?
Yeah, I think I'm controlling. So you just tell me when you need me to go down.
Yeah, so for my about, I kind of treated that as a like summary, and I used that as a way to kind of explain more of what I used for where I guess the job title, my headline, I think is what it's called, is. And so I just wrote about um, why those paths are interesting to me. But I didn't have, when I started looking for a job, I didn't have a clear field in mind. And so I used that as a way to kind of explain like the different interests I have. So it's not just targeted at one job position. And then I went down to experience and I started with my most recent, which is my current position. Um, and instead of bullets, I used more of a like first person summary to kind of explain my duties. So it's not just like an exhaustive list, but you can kind of understand more of like the main things I do in my position. And then I also uploaded some marketing materials that I've created to kind of give a plug for my marketing content creator bit. And just so that if employees are looking for that type of position, they do have, they can see a little bit of what I've done. And then under that, I just did the same thing, but with my past positions at different jobs over the summer, last spring, an internship I did. And so I did the same thing though, where I talked about it in kind of a personal summary or story rather than just listing bullet points. And then I have my education on there. I know from my end when I can click on it, I do, if I click on my education, my like club involvement pops up. Maybe that'll show up lower down or something. Oh, that's just kidding. That's under my organization. So I just have my education on there, and that I kept pretty simple. Um, but then these skills are things you can go through and select yourself. But then the cool thing about it is the endorsement. So if I say that I'm good at planning, my supervisor, if she thought I was also good at planning, can come in here and endorse that skill. So it shows that I'm not just saying I'm good at planning, but other people say I am as well. Um, and then the other thing that they can do, other people can do on your profile is leave recommendations. So my supervisor has also done that as well. So it's kind of just, employers can see that other people are recognizing your work and skills as well. Under honors and awards is where I listed my like Dean's List, scholarship, things like that. And then under organization, if you click the little down arrow, I'm the president for our women's club soccer team. So I have a lot of kind of roles when I do that that can be applicable in the job world. And so I kind of treated that like a job position, and I gave another summary of what I've done in that role so that if I am applying for something that's targeted towards those skills, I have that on my profile as well. And then for interests, I just went through and I just selected a bunch of different organizations and companies and groups that are interesting to me and that I find interesting, especially since I didn't have a certain job I was targeting and or whatnot. So I just went through a bunch of different fields, a bunch of different interests and passions I have, and like I guess you follow them. So, but people can all see that on your profile. So it looks good if you're applying for a certain company and you're interested in it, or you're interested in that type of work or a group that's related to that. So.
Thank you, Michaela.
Mhm.
All right, so you got to see a profile for Handshake and a profile for LinkedIn, and you can see there are some similarities, some things that are the same and some things that can be a little bit different. But what we always recommend is when students are working on one or the other, that you can update both at the same time. So if you go and add, say, a new job experience or internship experience to Handshake to your profile at the same exact time, just build it into your schedule to do that on LinkedIn as well. So those are kind of a couple tips and things we wanted to showcase. So that is our quick 15 to 20-minute presentation on LinkedIn and Handshake. We know there may be some potential questions or some things that people might have specific things they want to talk about. So we'll open it up to that. If you have them, it's okay if you don't. And you can put those in the chat and Claire or Janet will speak up for me and let me know if anything's come in. In the meantime, we in the Career Center offer virtual appointments via Starfish for current students. And if you're an alumni, just send an email to our general email and we will get an appointment set up for you. So we have gone virtual in that way. Also check out our website because we are adding content around, we're doing a career blog for anyone that wants to connect with us. We are looking at a chat function to add to our website so you can talk to someone right on the spot if you have questions. And we are doing a variety of webinars and employer info sessions throughout the rest of the year. So please connect with us. So I see a question from Danica that asked, should I add my high school to LinkedIn or only to Handshake? So that is up to you. So high school is always an interesting question we have to answer in the Career Center. And what we always tell students is it's up to you. If you feel like it's relevant to have that on there because maybe you did something pretty impactful, or maybe the where you went to school, it kind of showcases that you know the area that you're applying to. So if I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm applying for jobs in St. Louis, and I want people to know that, that could be a way to signify that you have connections in the area. So it doesn't hurt. We tend to say on a resume, you can probably leave it off if you've got a lot more relevant information. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps. Eden just said she added mine because it's a college prep charter school. So she really wanted to showcase that she went to a pretty cool institution for high school. Good question, Danica. Others?
Annie, it looked like there was one other. It was, if you make a LinkedIn profile, can you make it update your Handshake profile automatically?
Good question. So unfortunately at this time, there is not that connectivity to where if you update one, you update the other. We will, in Handshake as a software is always continually looking at ways to integrate with other software systems. So if that rollout ever comes, we will share that with you. But at this time, you will you will have to do both profiles separately. But hopefully, if you put all the information in one, all you'll really have to do is copy and paste over to the other to make it pretty easy for you. Other questions? Well, to kind of finish up here, you will see the rest of the webinar series we're offering throughout the rest of April and into May. So if you have an interest, please join. Rocking Your Digital Interview will be next, and then we'll talk about how to fill gaps in your skill development with a product called Learning. We'll talk about the value of internships, and then we'll end with where we think a cool webinar will end the series around where's the workplace going and what is the future. So particularly that's going to be focused on Colorado Springs and bringing in some local businesses to talk about where we're going. Looks like Pam just asked where you can find the recording of this and other webinars. We will be adding that to our website, uccs.com/ or uccs.edu/career, and we will have those available for you. So please check those out. We actually did an employer info session with USA Hockey yesterday, and we are putting that up as well. So it's your chance to kind of learn from some companies as well as from some career professionals. Any other questions that might be helpful for you all? Cool. Well, we appreciate the opportunity for you all to take 15-20 minutes out of your day to join us. We hope school and or work is going well, and please let us know how we can support you. So if you have any feedback for us on this webinar series, please don't ever hesitate to put that in the chat function as well as email. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.